Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a major development in Washington, the sudden drama unfolding around the Marjorie Taylor Greene moment of push back at Donald Trump, and the broader context of the Epstein Files Transparency Act as the United States House of Representatives votes overwhelmingly to force the release of files connected to Jeffrey Epstein. We'll walk through who's doing what shifted so sharply, why it matters, and what might happen next. Let's begin by setting the stage. For years, Jeffrey Epstein was at the center of a sprawling criminal case involving sexual abuse, trafficking, and an elite set of social, financial, and political connections. Many documents and investigations were started, paused, sealed, or fraught with controversy. By mid-2025, calls for transparency had grown strong. Victims, advocacy groups, and some members of Congress all demanded access to the files, communications, investigations, potential clients, or associates. That led to the introduction of the bill now called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Wikipedia +1 in July 2025, a discharge petition was filed by Thomas Massie, Republican, and Ro Khanna, Democrat, to force a House vote on that bill. Over weeks and months, the campaign gained steam, including bipartisan support, and created tension within the Republican Party, especially since this touches powerful figures. By November, the vote was imminent. Wikipedia +1 meanwhile, Trump had for a long time been dismissing parts of the Epstein issue disclosure as a Democrat hoax, framing the pressure to release files as politically motivated against him and his allies. But then came a dramatic U-turn. On November 16-17, 2025, Trump posted on Truth Social, "House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide," suddenly switching to support the bill. At virtually the same time, Marjorie Taylor Greene, previously aligned as one of Trump's staunchest allies, publicly clashed with his position and the party leadership. She criticized what she viewed as Republicans dragging their feet on the Epstein files and accused Trump of miscalculating. People, calm +1 people, calm +1, the independent +1 Greene's pushback is particularly noteworthy in this story. She didn't just oppose the Democratic angle, but challenged her own party's handling of transparency, signaling fractures inside the GOP. For instance, she accused the White House of a huge miscalculation in dismissing the disclosure effort. Then Trump responded harshly, calling her a ranting lunatic, and signaling he supported a primary challenge against her in her district. The public nature of this dispute underlines how high this issue has climbed within Republican ranks. The independent +1. Now let's look at what the House actually did. On November 18, 2025, the House passed the Epstein Files bill in a near-unanimous 427-1 vote. The sole no vote was cast by Rep. Clay Higgins, who expressed concerns the bill would harm innocent people family witnesses by releasing too much. The Senate swiftly followed and gave unanimous consent to pass the bill pending formal transmission. The bill now goes to the president for signature, and Trump has indicated he will sign it. Wikipedia +1, Wikipedia, The Guardian, let's pause and reflect on the significance. First, the flip by Trump. Why did he change course? Observers say it was a calculation of political survival. When it became clear the discharge petition had enough support and the House was overwhelmingly behind release, Trump bowed to the momentum. Second, the alliance of unlikely forces, Massie, a Republican, and Khanna, a Democrat, forcing a floor vote via a discharge petition is rare. It suggests the Epstein Files issue cut across party lines, and the pressure for disclosure overwhelmed partisan obstacles. Third, Greene's role signals internal pressure and dissent within GOP ranks. Her challenge to Trump shows the issue isn't just between parties, but inside one party over how to handle power, transparency, and loyalty. Fourth, for victims and advocates, this is a major victory. The legislation allows release of broad documents within 30 days with narrow exceptions for victims' identities or ongoing investigations, and demands transparency. Time +1 now. What about Trump and Greene's clash more specifically? Greene's critique. She's long favored full disclosure and framed the issue as one where powerful individuals should not be protected, regardless of political affiliation. She argued that stopping or delaying the disclosures sends the wrong message, that the elite are shielded. Trump's reaction: by distancing himself from her and threatening a primary, he's pursuing discipline in his party, warning other Republicans against dissent. But that also illustrates that the Epstein Files disclosure isn't simply an external event, it's testing Trump's grip on his party and revealing fissures. Moreover, some in the GOP saw Greene's vote in favor of the release as a blow to Trump's control of the agenda. For example, reporter Massey warned Republicans, Donald Trump can protect you now, but by 2030 he might not be president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't release the files. The independent New York Post plus one an interesting aspect. Trump's language about the release is curious. He framed the earlier resistance as dealing with a Democrat hoax. Yet once the vote was assured, he said we have nothing to hide. And he would sign the bill, but added a not so subtle caveat: let the Senate look at it, but don't talk about it too much, because honestly I don't want to take it away from us. That caveat, I don't want to take it away from us, suggests he's conscious of the optics, how this issue relates to his brand, his support base, his legacy. He's trying to navigate the tension between transparency and maintaining his political positioning. The Guardian, another dimension, victims and accountability. Advocates for Epstein survivors have grown increasingly impatient, noting that multiple administrations have delayed full release, and that obstruction or secrecy signals a system protecting wealth and status. The bill's passage is seen by many as a moment of potential accountability, both for Epstein's crimes and the systems that enabled him. For survivors, this isn't just about records, it's about recognition and justice. In that sense, the move by the House can be seen as a moral rather than purely political victory. Now it's important to look at next steps and potential obstacles. Just because the House and Senate pass the bill and Trump signals he will sign it doesn't mean everything is smooth. First, there's the question of implementation. How quickly will the United States Department of Justice turn over the records? The bill says within 30 days, and that they must be searchable and downloadable. But in practice, processing, redactions, technical format, sensitive content, victim identities, ongoing investigations all complicate things. Second, even if the records are released, there remains the question of how much of them will be meaningful. Will names of powerful individuals be included? Will records implicate public figures? Will disclosures trigger further investigation or prosecutions? Some observers doubt major revelations will be surfacing, especially because of prior assertions. For instance, a DOJ memo said it found no credible evidence of a client list. Third, there is the political fallout. For Trump, even though he claims nothing to hide, the optics of having been opposed to the bill for so long, reversing his position, and being challenged by his own camp Greene are vulnerabilities. For Greene, her stance may come at cost of her standing, or she may emerge as a champion of transparency in a new lane. For Republicans broadly, the revolt signals possible changes in the internal dynamics of the party. Loyalty to Trump isn't the only axis. Issues of institutional oversight, power, and transparency may matter more. Wikipedia, we should also cover the arguments from opponents. The lone no vote, Representative Clay Higgins, argued the bill abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure and risks revealing and injuring innocent people, witnesses, families, alibis. That argument resonates with concerns about privacy rights, due process, the risk of releasing unvetted records, allegations not proven, and cascading unintended consequences. So while transparency is critical, the devil is in the details of how the records get released. Also, some Republican lawmakers voiced that previous administrations could have done this and now are attempting to make it a partisan weapon. As House Speaker Mike Johnson said, he believed the vote should help put to rest allegations linking Trump to Epstein. and accused Democrats of using the files as a political weapon. That framing suggests some in GOP believe this is less about uncovered wrongdoing and more about image and politics. Wikipedia plus one Reuters plus one another facet, the impact on Trump's political brand. For years, accusations about his relationship with Epstein have existed, including photographs and associations, and his adversaries have used that to question him. Trump has long denied wrongdoing and said he had fallen out with Epstein. Now, with the bill moving ahead regardless, and with Trump endorsing the release, he's trying to reframe the narrative, cooperate, transparency, nothing to hide. But critics say the shift only happened because he was losing the internal fight. Also, the fact that Greene and other Republicans pushed from the outside suggests his coalition is no longer monolithic. That could signal vulnerabilities if he seeks further office or heightens internal rivalries. Let's break down the timeline more granularly. In mid-2025, the discharge petition is filed. Republicans in the House leadership attempt to block an immediate floor vote. Epstein-related documents, like the birthday book of Epstein and his associates, get released in partial form. By November, the discharge petition gained traction, and Massey predicted 100-plus Republicans would vote yes. On Nov 16, Trump posts on his platform urging Republicans to support the release, marking a pivot. On Nov 17, reporters note Democrats accuse Trump of panicking. On Nov 18, the House passes the bill with 427-1. On same day, the Senate signals swift approval. Afterward, talk shifts to implementation and whether the records will truly expose names or just be a symbolic win. Wikipedia plus one time The Guardian plus one. Why does this matter beyond Washington? Because issues of power, abuse, accountability, transparency, and elite protection resonate globally. The Epstein case was always about more than one man. It symbolized a network of influence, wealth, and secrecy. The willingness of Congress to force disclosure moves the needle on how societies deal with powerful people accused of wrongdoing. It raises questions about whether political allies protect each other, whether investigations stall, how victims cope when institutions seem opaque. So even though this is U.S. domestic politics, the themes ripple. Now, let's address the role of Marjorie Taylor Greene in more detail. Often labeled a firebrand, she has previously been aligned with Trump, enjoyed his support, and embraced MAGA-style rhetoric. But here she broke ranks publicly. Her stance, releasing Epstein Files, is the simplest, most common-sense thing. Not doing so sends the message that predators with wealth and power are shielded. Her conflict with Trump and his team demonstrates the limitations of his control, or at least how intra-party pressures can emerge when principal issues get entangled. She took a risk by calling him out and still aligning with the bill, thereby positioning herself as independent on this question. Trump's retaliation, calling her a ranting lunatic and signaling he might support a challenger in her seat, shows how seriously he took the dissent. In short, Greene's push fosters a narrative that this isn't just